Hello and welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. Kay Murray, Casey Keller and Stevie Nicol here in the studio. Lots to look back on today, especially in the Premier League, where we saw some upsets on the opening round. But we will kick things off in La Liga and head out to Cornellà, where Dan, Sid and Ale were in presence for Espnayol against Real Madrid. We got to see Mourinho's Real Madrid for the first time, and they left it late, Dan, but they got it done.
They most certainly did, Kay. Goodness me, talk about a blockbuster ending. It looked like they were going to drop 2 points, but in the end, of course, it was their star new signing, Sid. Who got the winner.
Do you know what? It had to be Carlos Espnayol in a way.
Yes.
21-year-old from Levante, a guy who rescued them from relegation last season, and he comes on and scores the goal. He's the one genuine out-and-out centre-forward they have.
And boy, did they need him in the end, Ali.
Well, they did. There was a chance there for Kylian Mbappe early on in the second half, which he missed from my kind of range. But then after that, Real Madrid, while they had a lot of the ball and they seemed to be on the verge of creating something, they never really did create something that was significant enough. And really the goal, while it is a blockbuster finish in terms of the result, Dan, the goal itself is broken play, rebound. Oh, there it is, goal.
Yeah.
And so it just, look, if you're Real Madrid, you take the win. If you're Jose Mourinho, you take the win. But they showed us a lot of things today that there's plenty to work if you're Real Madrid, and plenty of material for Real Madrid to get after and Jose Mourinho to get after as well.
Sid, talk to me about Carlos Espnayol. Who would have thought that'd be my question?
Honestly, I think last season, I think you can make a case for saying that he was the single most important player for a club last season. He scored 9 goals in the second half of the season, having come from almost nowhere to rescue Levante, almost single-handedly. No player ever does it single-handedly, but almost single-handedly. It was a big surprise when Real Madrid signed him in the summer, paid his €25 million buyout clause, because the idea being that they wanted a profile, remember Joselu, of a number 9 who could come on as a sub and win you the game, and there it is.
Okay, very excited indeed as the whole team would make it down into the corner flag to celebrate with Espy as Real Madrid get the win. Look, you look at those stats, you think, oh, Real Madrid maybe a little bit unlucky, didn't take their chances. There weren't that many chances clear-cut for Real Madrid. They were definitely the better team, but this has definitely left more questions for Jose Mourinho to answer with regards to how he's going to set this team up to get the best out of those front three.
And let's not forget, towards the end of the first half, Espanyol have a chance by Roberto Fernandez, a header that is a tap-in that is somehow he misses it. And it could have been 2-0 and really should have been 2-1 for Espanyol, I should say. He misses that chance. Real Madrid comes out at halftime. You're thinking that there's going to be something better from Real Madrid, that there's going to be dominance. And while there was dominance, that didn't really translate into clear opportunities. And so in the case of Jose Mourinho, I suppose that you can kind of build in the excuse that, listen, you're working your team back into fitness, you're working your team back from the World Cup. We haven't really seen what his starting 11 is going to be on the field. But what I don't like or didn't like from Real Madrid today is that first 50 minutes, excellent. Everybody pressing, everybody running, hard work. And then once they go up, then they took a step back, which is something that they did so often last season. And that's the part that I think the attitude of Real Madrid has to change. And it didn't change today. It may change over time with Jose Mourinho, but it didn't change today because they decided to give the ball back to Espanyol and give them the initiative. That's unacceptable.
Look, we weren't going to see a completely different Real Madrid today.
No, of course we weren't.
Despite the personnel, despite Jose Mourinho on the bench, but there were similar problems, weren't there? Is that fair to say?
I think
from
so.
What we saw last season?
And I think what Ali's talking about is right as well, that there were periods last season when they were pressed high, and it was the ability to maintain that throughout a game, or the willingness to maintain it throughout a game, and I think we saw elements of that again. I don't think it's natural to, or I don't think it's unnatural for them to be faced by some of the same issues as last year. I think that issue of finding a way behind teams that play deep is going to be there, and that's partly why SB is there. But yeah, of course, these are issues that they have to work through, and we still have the question mark about the front three, the three superstars. How do you find the right places on the pitch for them to work well together?
Let's talk Vinicius Jr. We saw it a bit last season, his frustration coming out. Let's start off with the incident. Do you think it should have been a red card?
Man, it's a loft tap. Yeah, he's down. It's a loft tap. Yeah, he's down. He kicks him without the ball. I suppose you can make an argument for it, but I don't think it's enough for a red card. Now, it's significant in the match because Calatrava, the guy who kicks Vini Jr., ends up being the guy who scores the goal, the game-tying goal for Espanyol in the first half. Regardless, I just think Vini Jr., the one time that he was defending over here in the first half and he was in a 1v1 situation and the ball just kind of bounces off of him and goes out of bounds, he's already getting after the crowd. The crowd is getting after him. And I just don't see the value of it. I don't understand the purpose of it all, because then he's caught up in everything else other than playing the game. And when you're here live watching it, every single time he has a chance to react to the crowd, to react to the referee, to react to the opponent, he's doing it. And he forgets about the very basic thing that makes him a great player. React to the ball, react to the play, react to your teammates. He doesn't do that enough for me, or he didn't do that enough for me today.
There were 3 new signings, Canate and Dumfries. How do we rate their performances today?
Well, I don't think we saw a huge amount from any of them. I thought we saw Bernardo Silva look a little bit out of place at times. I thought his performance actually, I thought, obliged Fede Valverde to do more running than he would have wanted to, albeit Fede Valverde, what he does so well is run and cover a huge amount of ground. I don't think we saw very much from Dumfries. We saw maybe a little bit more from Trent, certainly in an attacking sense. But then we know that, don't we? We know that they've got 2 different profiles of defender there. One that will defend a bit more and one that will play a little bit more, albeit Dumfries is an athlete and can get up and down the pitch. And so I don't think we were surprised really and truly by the performance of those players.
I think Bernardo Silva's role, if Jose Mourinho is going to be stubborn enough to think this is the guy that's going to play central midfield for me, they're going to run into trouble.
Let me stop you for a moment. Is it stubborn, or is it faced with no other alternative?
No, I think there are alternatives.
Okay.
And Bernardo Silva is a very good player, but he's a player that is not tactically disciplined, because he wants to go and get on the ball, and because of that work rate on trying to go and get the ball, as a central midfielder, you have to have the discipline to sit centrally. We saw him today, and I pointed it out to you many times while we were watching the game, Dan. He's over there drifting to the right. He's over here drifting here. He's over there drifting over there. And he's not in a central position, which then, to your point, Sid, makes Fede Valverde have to cover 20, 30 yards at a time, in which then he gets himself out of position.
Yanda Miande making his debut, the most expensive signing in the history of Real Madrid. What sort of impact did he make, in your opinion?
I suppose that we expect a lot when a guy like Yanda Diomande comes in, because of the numbers, because of what the transfer fee was. Then the first time that he touches the ball, he plays it backwards, and I'm like, look, I don't want somebody to go and play it backward. They're about to take a throw-in, and he's pointing, hey, just play it back there. No, you get the ball. You, in a 1v1 situation, get after somebody. When he started doing that, he became more dangerous for Real Madrid. And Real Madrid, even if it was by rebounds, they were now creating more opportunities.
Are we being too negative? Real Madrid did win.
It depends what you mean by are we being too negative. No, because naturally the first game of the season with a new manager, you're looking for things that are new and we haven't seen them. But maybe yes, in the sense that we shouldn't expect to see them on the first game. We shouldn't expect to see a really radical change from before. And we saw some of the flaws of before, but we also saw a team that, as you say, created sufficient chances to win the game, did win it a bit late, but probably deserved to win it as well.
Too negative?
I don't believe that we're being too negative. When you bring in back Jose Mourinho, it creates an expectation. It elevates what this team should be. You make all the investments that you have made in players. You make all the changes. And so, okay, let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see it. And what we saw today is that at times, there is something there that you can build upon, but then at times you saw some of the same issues that we saw last season. And so I don't sense that it's being too negative as much as it is, look, the problems are still there. The hole in the center of midfield is still there. The role, I think, of Cucurella is going to help Vini Jr. because in Cucurella being down the left-hand side, sometimes force Vini to get in a more central position, and then that forced him to go and combine with Kylian Mbappe and go and combine with speed, which actually the genesis of the goal, if you will, comes from broken play by Vini Jr., broken play from Kylian Mbappe, and even by numbers, just by numbers, you're able to then go and score the goal. So there's certain things to build upon, but let's not kid ourselves. This team has issues that are going to have to be addressed.
And Jose Mourinho, of course, will be looking to address those on Wednesday as Real Madrid have their first home game of the season as they take on Real Sociedad. Like every other single La Liga game this season, you can see it live on the ESPN app.
So Manchester United lose their first season opener to a newly promoted side in their history. 2-0 it finished to the Tigers. As we welcome in Rob Dawson, our Manchester correspondent, to talk more about what we saw today. Outfought, Rob, outplayed. Is Carrick under pressure already with this result?
Well, I wouldn't say he's under pressure, but it was certainly a disaster today in terms of the result, the performance. I think the one thing that you have to do against a newly promoted team on the opening day of the season is match their intensity, and it just never happened. You know, you can talk about technical quality and being better on the ball and creating better chances. But there just wasn't really anything there in terms of passion from the United performance. There wasn't any energy. There wasn't any athleticism in that display. And you can see by the stats there, you could perhaps look at the stats and think that maybe United, if you haven't watched the game, and think maybe United dominated the game and were a little bit unlucky. That just wasn't the story of the game. If anything, Hull could maybe feel a little bit hard done by that they didn't win by more goals, and United really were well beaten.
Yeah, it's taken the air of cautious optimism out, I suppose, of some of the fans coming into this season. Given what happened last season, you now know that Carrick is in permanently. You've seen the new signings that have come in, Stevie, and then to lose this way on the opening day to a newly promoted side, it's not a great start. No,
it's not a good start. I mean, it was always going to be a difficult game, but it's a game you expect them to win. If you're Manchester United and you want to be at least in the top 4 and maybe fighting for the title, you have to go to Hull and win. And they never looked like winning. And honestly, they made one chance in the game. One chance is all they made. And Bomo had a great shot in the first half that was saved, but it didn't come from Manchester United. It was a defensive mistake. So in the whole of the 90 minutes, they made one opportunity, and Bomo had it when it was 2-0. Other than that, they were slow. The build-up took forever. I mean, Tielemans and Santos making the league debuts were bang average and actually looked as though they thought they were playing for a middle-of-the-table team because there was no urgency about them. There was no energy about them. I'm really not sure how to explain what they did in the game because basically they went sideways and that was about it. There was no forward passing, no penetrating passing, and it was slow. And Bruno Fernandes was never in the game because of that. And so Bruno Fernandes, there's no question, is their number one target to get the ball to if they're going to create chances or score goals. And they couldn't get him it. And so they delivered nothing going forward and deservedly, as Rob said, got beat 2-0.
Bruno Fernandes was talking after the game. He said, same mistakes as we did last season. Every away game, we give too much of the ball to them.
Well, I mean, if the stats showed that they had, double the passes, double the possession, stuff like that. So I would say it's probably more important what you do with the ball than necessarily just having the ball. If you're not penetrating against the defense, if you're just playing sideways and back, who cares if you have the ball? You're not doing it. The whole are up, fine, have the ball back there, pass the ball around without actually hurting us. It's how you're able to have that intensity against a team that's come up that understands they have to be a little bit defensively conservative. They're not going to just open up and let you get at them. So then what are you doing when you have it? And if you're going backwards and square, you're doing the job for them.
And if you're going to sit and watch this game, if you're Man United, and think it's about what you didn't do going forward, well, defensively, you were a bit of a mess as well, let's be honest. When the opposition is 28% of the ball, and they've got nearly the same amount of shots on target as you, I mean, I'm sorry, Harry Maguire for me is not a top-class centre-back. He's not. He's great with the ball at his feet, but in terms of defending, I'm sorry, I don't see it. And Heaven is just okay. You got Luke Shaw. The second goal, put your head where you might get hurt. I mean, he's getting out the road of it. I just don't. I'm so surprised at this Manchester United side, what I saw today. I just didn't see any urgency either defensively or in the attack.
Which is weird, especially when Carrick had said what he'd said before the game, that it wasn't going to be easy against a newly promoted side. It didn't look like a side that were ready enough to expect that, did it?
Well, no. The way the game started for me, you're sitting watching and you're going, this is it. This is what we're going to get. And it's just going to be a case of Hull are going to try and go on the break. And so Manchester United just have to be smart. And so they haven't defended well, they haven't attacked well, and they haven't been smart.
It's tough to win matches.
Not a lot to get a hold of in a positive sense, is it?
There wasn't a lot of positivity. I mean, Rob, you were at the game today, and then came the news that the trains weren't running back to Manchester from Hull.
Oh, dear,
I mean, yeah, just to kind of rub salt in the wounds of the United fans who made that 100-mile trip to Hull. They got told halfway through the second half that all the trains home had been cancelled, and the Hull fans greeted that with a massive roar and started singing "You're going home in an Uber," which was going to cost about £150.
Wow.
You know, we really couldn't have got much worse for those United fans who made that trip to Hull today. They've seen the team put in a woeful performance. All that pre-season optimism has disappeared over the course of 90 minutes, and then they've had to face a taxi ride home because the training's been cancelled. It couldn't really have got much worse.
Were Manchester United better when Marcus Rashford came on? Let's talk a little bit about him if we can, Rob, because he's been given the number 9 as well. Is that a statement from Carrick?
Yeah, I mean, perhaps a little bit. Carrick has been asked about that and said, no, it's just a number. But, you know, you have to kind of think that he's been given the number 9 shirt because United see him as a key part of their plans going forward. Obviously, he's had to come on today earlier than Michael Carrick would have wanted. He came on at half-time because Patrick Dorgu, who started on the left wing, was dreadful in the first half. When Marcus came on, I think the first thing to say is that he got a nice reception from Man United fans. There was concerns that he maybe would get a little bit of a mixed response after what's happened over the last 18 months, but he clapped the away fans and they gave him a nice reception. Once he got going on the pitch, he was okay, which really made him far better than most of the United players who played today. He at least tried to get the ball down and attack down that left-hand side. He had a couple of opportunities to create chances and cross and have shots himself. Nothing really came off, but that was really the story of United in general and not just him. I think at the moment, obviously, we have still got a little bit of time before the transfer deadline. I think if a big club were to come in with an offer for Marcus Rashford, United would consider that. It doesn't look like that's going to happen at the moment. And as things stand, he's going to be a part of this squad going forward. And judging by the performance today, he's going to have to play a key role because the next time United play against Ipswich at Old Trafford in a week's time, you'd expect that Michael Carrick is going to have to make changes to his starting 11. And one of those changes is that Marcus Rashford is going to have to start.
What about more incoming players? Did we see today that there is a need for further reinforcements?
I think so. We're obviously expecting Carlos Baleba to come in from Brighton. They've agreed a £70 million deal with Brighton. That should go through next week. He will add vital energy in the centre of the pitch. One thing United have lacked not just today, but over the last few years is legs and athleticism in midfield. Carlos Baleba will add that. I think you could argue beyond that they're probably short of another left back to help Luke Shaw, or at least add competition at left back. I think they probably need help up front as well. They spent a lot of money last summer on revamping their forward line, but you could argue that they still need another centre forward. Benjamin Sesko has played today for the last 20 minutes, although he's not fully fit. Joshua Zirkzee was on the bench today. There's been interest in him from Italy, from Napoli and from Juventus. There is still a chance that he may go. If he was to go, United would have to bring in another option to take the load off Benjamin Sesko. It was one of those performances where you could watch United today and make a case that they need reinforcements in every single position. I think the only player who came out of today with any kind of credit at all was probably Senna Lamens, and he's picked the ball out of his net twice. That just kind of sums up where United are and what kind of performance they put in at Hull today. Yeah,
so a tough start for Michael Carrick, and as Rob mentioned, it is Ipswich next up, and that is another newly promoted side coming up for Manchester United. Anything you'd like to add before we move on, Stevie?
No, not at all.
No, Casey?
Okay. I mean, again, how in your opening match is there not the energy?
Yeah,
that would worry me a lot if I was Michael Carrick.
Okay. Yeah. Is it too soon to say new season, same old Spurs?
Well, on that performance, no, because it's the same thing. It's possession, but then look at the shots. It's possession, but where are you going with it? What are you doing with it? Yeah. The matches are won in the final third and the defensive third. And Spurs were second best in both. And that's what would worry me. It's nice buying some shiny new toys and doing some things, but where's that grit in the final third, and where's that decisiveness in the attacking third? Defensive third, we're just going to pass the ball around you and put it in the net, and then in the attacking third, we're just going to step on it and play it backwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the start that would have been expected when you've seen the players that they brought in this summer so far, Stevie.
Do you know, you'd have to be worried if you're a player, coach, owner, fan of Spurs. You've got to be worried about what you saw today, because they got bullied from the first minute to the last minute. And sometimes in a game like this, you can put it down to, well, just one of those days and. But you look at the makeup of the Spurs team and the Spurs squad, and they don't actually have the physicality to stand up to anybody who's going to bully them. I mean, they just don't have it. Even the two... Most teams, the two hardest guys are the two biggest, strongest animals that you rely on are your two centre-backs. And Van Hecke and Senesi today, they got bullied as well. So where's the strength coming from? So, listen, when they go and play against your Man Cities and your Liverpools and your Arsenals, it's going to be a game of football. But if I'm anybody else halfway up the table that just wants to stay in the league, all you got to do is get in the face and outmuscle them and fight them and bully them. Because today they got trodden on.
Yeah, it was not a best start for Spurs today, and there'll be a lot of talk about it as well because, Rob, after those back-to-back 17th place finishes, people are saying it's no way going to be that this season, but does that switch expectations a little bit?
I think it's a reality check. You know, Casey at the top of the just said there that we're going to talk about a lot of the same things we spoke about with Man United, and that's exactly right. You know, there was a lot of pre-season optimism at Spurs. They've got a manager that they like in Roberto De Zerbi, who managed to save them from relegation last season. They've spent an awful lot of money in the transfer window. There was hope at Spurs that they would be able to kick on this season, that there's no European football. It means that they can focus on the Premier League. I've heard Spurs fans talk about the possibility of even making that jump to get back into the Champions League places this season because they've invested so much in the squad, and today the performance just suggests that there are far more of the problems from last season that just haven't been addressed. And there was an interview after the game from Archie Gray, and he suggested that Spurs had been outfought today. Now, that to me is a massive worry. I think it's unforgivable for a football team to be outfought by anyone, but particularly on the opening day of the season when you can feel that kind of pre-season optimism and the whole season's ahead of you, and you don't really know what's going to happen. To admit that you've been outfought on the opening day of the season, I think would set alarm bells off for Roberto De Zerbi, because how is that possible on the opening day? If you're going to fight and match a team ever, presumably that's on the opening day when you're full of energy and full of optimism. And if it wasn't there today, when is it going to come back, and how are they going to rediscover it?
But to Stevie's point and Rob's point, who are the fighters? There's a point when sometimes you got to buy a couple fighters to be able to fight. It looks like they have a bunch of ball players who are then like, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to fight with these guys. We're so good, we can play around them. Well, you had fighters in your Champions League winning sides. I played with plenty of fighters on the teams that I played with, but at some stage you got to actually be able to just roll your sleeves up and fight. But if you don't have anybody on your side who can fight, good luck.
Let's talk a little bit about the two names that have come up. Obviously, we know Savinho coming in at Spurs.
That's
and Omar
a fighter.
Mahmoud.
There's a fighter for you.
That'll help. That would help today.
A guy that's going to roll his sleeves up and get some tackles in for you.
That, so much has been made, Rob, of this 150 million, if it's to come to that, with these two players. Did we see today that more players actually are needed here at Spurs?
I mean, I think more players are needed because recruitment is important, but I want to echo the thoughts of the two guys in the studio. It doesn't matter if you recruit well or badly. If you put 11 players out on the pitch who aren't willing to fight, then it doesn't matter who's out there. You can go and spend as much money as you want. If the spirit isn't there, then it doesn't matter. Now, Roberto De Zerbi has made a point that he wants reinforcements in attacking areas. The deal with City for Savinho is agreed, and that will go through. City are also expecting the Marmoush deal to go through at some stage, although it's not as advanced as the Savinho one. But to go back to the original point, it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't matter who's out on the pitch if the collective spirit isn't there. Now, it's obviously very early in the season. Spurs, I'm sure, will get better. I think I've counted 4 new signings in that starting 11. It is going to take time for those new signings to gel, and you would expect that to happen with more time on the training pitch with Roberto De Zerbi. But I imagine he's sat at home now thinking, well, it doesn't actually matter what happens on the training pitch. It matters. The only thing that matters is developing that fighting spirit, that desire to want and go and win football matches, because if that's not there, then it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. If that's not there, you may as well not turn up.
Yeah, so big upsets for both Manchester United and Spurs today, and a lot to look ahead to in that Premier League season. Thanks so much for joining us, Rob, to talk more about everything that we did see today. Make sure to check out our YouTube channel where you can stay up to date with Extra Time. On the latest edition, Casey and Stevie are answering your questions. There's boys on tour. They are in Barcelona right now, but they are heading down to Alicante because tomorrow it's Elche against Barcelona. So, Dan, we need to know more about that game.
Yes, indeed, Kay. Early start tomorrow. We'll be on a plane.
Is that how planes go?
That's my plane impression.
I hope our plane is better than that.
Do you know what? I hope your plane is like that because I'm not joining you. I'll be heading to Madrid for the Atletico game.
Of course you'll go to the Atleti game.
I'll be on a train and not on a...
well, me and Ali will be side by side as Barcelona kick off the defence of their title. Rodri won't play. We know that he hasn't trained. He'll train on Monday. The big talking point, inevitably, with Barcelona going into the season, is who's going to score the goals, Ali? Because Ferran Torres has gone, and so is Lewandowski.
Well, let's assume that nobody walks through that door, right? And we're also assuming, and I think it's a safe bet, that Julian Alvarez is not coming. And so, assuming that nobody's walking through that door anytime soon for Barcelona, then how do they go about staying competitive and remaining the favorites to win La Liga and to retain their title? You're going to have the very best of Lamine Yamal. You're going to need the very best of Rafinha, but more importantly, you're going to need Rafinha to be on the field, to be fit and ready to go. Suffered a lot of injuries last season, a lot of soft tissue injuries. That went on to the World Cup, happened with the Brazil as well. So he's going to have to be on the field as well. And then the rest are just going to have to fill in the gaps. And the rest it's a combo package of all sorts of players that could potentially score goals. We don't know exactly who that player is going to be, but it's Anthony Gordon, it's Hamza Abdelkarim, it's Karim Adeyemi, Fermin Lopez, Dani Olmo, a bunch of guys who are capable every so often of scoring goals, and if indeed they take turns to do so, and they do so by committee, then maybe Barcelona are able to fill in that gap.
We've talked a lot about Julian Alvarez and the possibility of him joining. That looks like that's done, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All the noise is coming out of Atleti, so then who?
Whoever they can get. I know that sounds like a very kind of dismissive way of putting it, but I think there's
Thank you, Sid. Thank you.
I think there's an element of that. Obviously, they've tried with Lautaro Martinez. They've looked at other players as well. But bear in mind that they had a very, very clear target, and they had what they thought was an approach to make that deal work. And I think there has to be some responsibility taken, maybe slightly less from Barcelona and more from Julian Alvarez's camp about the way they went about it, about the things that they did that they thought would force the hand of Atletico Madrid. And what it actually did was entrench Atletico in saying no. So much so that if you look at the timing of what's been said this week, it's very, very clear that what Atletico did was go and find out if they could get a sale for Alvarez to somewhere else, but not to Barcelona.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Have a lovely trip to Atleti. That game, of course, on the ESPN app tomorrow. And the big one, myself and Ali will be attending. It is Elche against Barcelona. Live tomorrow. You can see that 3:30 on ABC. Our coverage starts at 3 p.m. Eastern. All-nighter tonight, Kay, I reckon.
Yeah, sounds about right from Ali Moreno about that last season. Here's Bayern Munich's trophy cabinet.
It's not bad.
It looks as though they might be adding another one to that.
That's a big cabinet.
That's a warehouse now.
It's bursting at the seams. There's going to be more numbers on that panel, isn't there, Casey, come the end of this season?
That's an airplane hangar. But yes, they should be. I mean, they are clearly head and shoulders above anybody else. It would really be catastrophic if Bayern Munich don't win the title this year. They seem to have such unbelievable team spirit last year.
Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Stevie and Casey answering your questions today. Let's get started, shall we? Which Big Six club embarrassed themselves more today, Spurs or Manchester United?
Your mob.
I think so. Yeah, I think simply because of the expectation, 2 years in a row, 17th place, fighting relegation. Now they put a bunch of money towards the squad, and you get thumped away from home at Brentford, not at Arsenal, not at Man City, but at Brentford. And the first time I think Spurs had ever lost at Brentford, and you do it convincingly with all this hope and hype and everything else that came along with it.
Yeah, the lucky it was only 3.
Yeah, that too. Missed penalty, and could have been worse.
Yeah.
So that was more of a shocker.
Yeah.
Okay, Stevie, what was your chosen snack while watching Manchester United's shambolic performance? Was it
Today I had a cup of tea and a chocolate biscuit.
breakfast?
A chocolate biscuit?
Yeah.
A.
Just one?
Yeah, A.
Oh, look at that. He's a changed man, Casey.
I'm disciplined now, aren't I?
Yes, yes. When I think of
how
Stevie
many
Nicol, I
sugars
think
in
of
tea?
discipline.
Well, actually, I had two, but I gave one to the dog.
The dog had teeth?
The dog,
Were they buzzing?
the dog wouldn't leave me alone to enjoy watching the game.
Ah, okay. But did you have sugar in your tea?
No.
Oh, no.
No.
Well, the caffeine.
Never.
A little bit of caffeine, though, never hurt the dog.
Ever since I worked on the building site, I never had sugar in my tea.
Neither do I. I
Yeah.
don't
No.
know. Yeah.
No.
No, not about it. Do you like tea after living
I don't
in
mind
England,
tea, but I'm a
Casey?
coffee guy. I'm Seattle.
Right.
You
Oh, of course.
yeah,
I
come
know.
on.
Okay. Stevie, as a manager, what are you looking for in Liverpool tomorrow as they kick off their season? What do you want to see in the new signings from this summer and the signings that weren't quite a hit from last summer?
How long is this? Do you know the first thing I want? A clean sheet.
Ooh.
That's the first. If they keep a clean sheet, then you've got a chance. You've almost got a chance. If you don't let goals in, you've always got a chance to build. Because you've got Isak, you've got Verts. It just takes one opportunity for them, and you win the game. And then what happens is you start building, and then the confidence grows, and then the opposition start looking at you differently. I mean, it's amazing. Keep a clean sheet, and then onwards and upwards.
Okay. For Casey, as a fellow American, which of these three elevated their status in this country because of the World Cup? Kane, Mbappe, or Haaland, and why?
All I keep thinking of all the Haaland memes that were all over the place. And I think Kane and Mbappe probably already had enough. And then Haaland kind of came in like, what is this? And I think the non-football soccer fan kind of looked at this guy and went, this is crazy. And then some of the stats that came out, that I think there was one of his runs, I think would have been the third fastest run in the last 2 years in the NFL. And they saw this 6'4" Viking running around going, what is this? And I think then everything that followed with social media. So, and then how does he top it off? Going home with the stuffed raccoon or what? I mean, Haaland took it to another level.
Yes, he did. Stevie, you were once sold an £1,100 car with fake tyres from Alan Hansen, who never mentioned the fake tyres until your car broke down.
Yep.
Do you have any other stories of your teammates scamming or pranking you?
Got a load of them. I had just broken into the first team, and Kenny Dalglish was with Puma, and the guy in charge was a guy called Derek Ibbotson, and Ibbo actually was a miler in his day. Anyway, I digress. And Kenny came up to me on Friday and said, oh, by the way, because I was buying boots, he said, by the way, he said, Puma want to give you some boots, and they want to give you some money for wearing them, a contract. I was like, I was trying to keep it all cool. I went, oh, that's great. Inside I was like, what? He said, yeah. I said, when's this? He goes, well, he said, he's coming back for Europe. He's actually, he's at a track meet, because he's with Puma, he's with all the athletes. He said, but he's coming back. He's flying into Manchester on Sunday morning. He said, if you want to meet him, he'll meet you at the service station there at 11 o'clock. So I went like that. Aye, oh well, all right, fine. So I goes home and said, Eleanor, by the way, you'll never get it. Puma want to give me money to wear boots. She's like, oh, that's great. And it was all, back then it was all cash as well, right? Under the table job. So go in the next day, Saturday, we got the game, play the game, go home, go out, set the alarm, get up, Sunday morning, me and Eleanor, we drive to the service station, get there about 11:15. Nice and early. So we sit there, so about 11 o'clock, sat in the car park. Looking around. get about 10 past, 11:15. I thought, I tell him, he must be inside. So I got out of the car and I walked inside and I walked all around the service station looking for Ibbo. Couldn't find him. Came back to the car, so it's 11:30 by this time. So I get back to the car and I went, I can't see him, he's not there. She goes, well, can you not go and call him or something? I goes, well, I don't have his number. She goes, well, how did you know to meet him if you never spoke to him? I said, well, Kenny told me. She went, she said, if I'd known that, we wouldn't be here now. We'd still be in the line in our bed at home. You stupid. I went, well, I didn't. So we go home. I get into training on Monday morning. Kenny comes in, I'm sat in my chair. And Kenny goes, by the way, he said, I'm sorry. He said, I was just having a laugh on Friday. He said, and I meant to tell you on Saturday, but with the game and the whole thing, he said, I forgot all about it. He goes, you didn't go, did you? I went, how stupid do you think I am?
Of course I didn't go. I knew you were stitching me up the whole time.
And then about a week later, we went on a night out and had too many beers, and I told him, I said, by the way, I did go. He was like, oh, no.
I see, you know what? You should always listen to your wife. You should have just said that out to her in the beginning. You'd
Well, if I'd told her.
Yeah, exactly.
But I didn't.
Okay, good story. What's one thing you are terrible at?
I'll tell you what.
Okay.
Well, I've got a lot of things I'm terrible at, by the way. But sport-wise, I am absolutely garbage at basketball.
Okay.
I cannot throw a ball in the hoop. Anything with a ball, any other thing with a ball,
Well,
I'm usually sporting Billy. But basketball, garbage.
we always enjoyed handing an American football over to the guys who weren't American and have them try to throw it to somebody. That was always extremely entertaining.
Because I feel like you watch any American guy, or girl, a lot of the time, they can always throw the spiral.
They can all throw a baseball as well.
Yeah,
we're like that.
Well, unless you played cricket, because the cricket guys.
I played cricket.
Well,
and I still throw it like that. Like Johnny Kerr, me and him with his boy.
Oh, yeah,
one day, we're throwing a baseball around, right? I'm like that.
Oh.
The two of them like that.
Oh.
I'm like that, my fingers.
But it's because
I threw out a
Craig's
first
a good
pitch at the Mariners
basketballer,
game.
though, right? Craig was a good basketballer.
Yeah, but I threw out a first pitch at the Mariners game during the World Cup, and it's a little bit of muscle memory, but I definitely wanted to throw a little bit. I had somebody come over to the house and throw a little bit before I went, just because it'd been so long since.
Didn't want to look stupid.
Yeah.
Anything you're just not good at all that you're terrible at?
I should be a better speller than I am. I was a decent student, and my wife makes fun of me at my spelling for sure.
Okay.
There and there, I will mess them up constantly, even though I know, but I still do it.
So that's the end of extra time. Because we had the last game of the day, which was Espnayol against Real Madrid, we've been able to hear from Jose Mourinho speaking after that victory. So here is more from the Real Madrid boss.
Creo que nosotros merecemos ganar, pero el Espanyol no merecía perder, si me hago entender. Nosotros hemos hecho, principalmente en segundo tiempo, un grande control, una grande presión. Hemos arriesgado muchísimo y pienso que merecemos ganar. Vini no es un santo, pero lo que le hacen es demasiado. Inicia en el primer minuto. Yo pienso que es una cosa que ya está formatada, tiene ya un formato, tiene ya una cosa que se repite de adversario para adversario para adversario. Le doy yo, ahora le das tú, ahora le doy yo, ahora le das tú. Si yo cojo una amarilla, le das tú. Tiene que tener un grande control emocional. Yo he hablado con él en intervalo porque obviamente le he dicho hasta el detalle, si marcares un gol, atento con el modo como vais a celebrarlo, para tenerlo en campo, porque es duro. Estamos en una era social de anti-bullying. Con Vini estamos todavía en el bullying.
Let's get to what he said here about Vinny. He did start saying Vinny's no saint, but they do come out for him. I just want to get to the earlier decision in the game, which Ali didn't see too much of. That decision came in the 4th minute when he was fouled, and he retaliated afterwards, but you can see why he did. Should that have been a red card?
Well, yes, it should have been. But after that, boo-hoo. I mean, come on, give me a break. He's absolutely doing, he's just saying that to try and get on the good side of Vinny. Because Vinny embarrassed himself with the way he was diving about.
Might he have said something different to Vinny inside the dressing room?
I don't think so.
You don't?
No. No.
But there's only a way it changes
No.
for Vinny, and it changes for Vinny by not reacting. And that you have to be disciplined enough to say, you know what, people and teams understand that if we wind you up, we have a chance of getting you sent off and causing problems and distracting you from, or Vinny, from doing his job. And so until that changes, teams are going to continue to do it.
Vinny was inside the box, 10 yards from goal, maybe even closer. And rather than, he's past the defender, and if he stays on his feet, he's got control of the ball. Rather than do that and try and score, Vinny decided to throw himself on the ground. If he's going to speak to him, he needs to speak to him about that. But not the other ones.
Yeah. Not the first time, sure,
Got a
it won't
hanky
be the
there.
last time we'll be speaking about this with Vinny Jr. on ESPN FC. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sending in your questions. Make sure to be back with us tomorrow on ESPN FC.